This is Dory Ingram, and I'm in the gallery of the Harpeth Hall School in Nashville, Tennessee. This is the Marnie Sheridan Gallery, which is an absolutely beautiful facility, where my most recent show, Carapace, is installed. And a carapace is the top shell of certain animals, such as a turtle or crab. And as the exoskeleton of these animals, the carapace grows along with the animal, serving as a primary defense against enemies. And I think an instinctive desire for safety and security is fundamental to all creatures, including humans. So in this show, I'm using the word carapace as a metaphor for the system of defenses that develops along with us as we learn from others and from our own experience. This exploration has evolved from some of my earlier work addressing innate protective and defensive instincts. And examples of the earlier series, as well as my current work, appear together in this exhibition. I'm going to walk through a few of the pieces in this show now. This is Soldiers of the Apocalypse, which is a part of my Brood Year series. In fact, this is the first of the Brood Year series about the life cycle of the periodical cicada, which has fascinated me ever since I was a child. Next to it is a piece called Edge of the Sword, which is part of my Apocryphos series. Apocryphos is Greek for things hidden, and this is based on the notion that during our lives we bury certain thoughts, feelings, images, and we keep those hidden from other people, but they all form what we currently are. And the titles in this series come from the books of the Apocrypha, most specifically the wisdom books and the prophecy books. This is an installation of small box-shaped canvases that are painted on all sides except the back. They're all part of the Apocryphos series. Next to it is another formation of small boxed canvases. This piece is called Shield Wall, and this is part of the Carapace series. The Carapace series actually consists of two pieces so far. This is the installation piece that was designed specifically for this gallery, and it is 9 feet wide and 8 feet high, illustrating the frailty of our defenses. It's made of tissue and polymer emulsion, and the imagery in it relates to the safety and security issues that come up for us as we go through our lives. And embedded in it are a lot of thoughts and feelings that a class of art students contributed to the piece. I invited them to contribute to the piece and write their thoughts and draw images on tissue, and I embedded it in this piece. Next to it on the wall are a couple of earlier pieces. The first one is Signs and Wonders from the Apocryphos series, and next to that is The Abyss from the Brood Year series. And these are all in the upper gallery of the Sheridan Gallery. Now I'm in front of the largest painting in the show. This is called Fools Are Born Aloft by Dreams. It's part of the Apocryphos series. And next to it, Apocryphos Fire Upon Pentapolis. Next to this is one of the smaller pieces in the Brood Year series, Mene Mene. It's watercolor on paper. This is part of the Brood Year series. It's called The Origin of Numbers. On this wall is Brood Year, A Last Great City. This is actually the last of the Brood Year series. The Brood Year series not only addresses the life cycle of periodical cicadas, but also it strays into locusts and devastation and apocalyptic visions. And this one is the one that I sort of threw everything at. It's got a whole lot of imagery relating to the apocalypse. Next to it is Brood Years, Alpha and Omega, another construction of locusts, tumbling buildings, various apocalyptic visions. Next to that is Brood Year's Scourge of the Fifth Trumpet, which of course is based on the book of Revelation. It was one of the first in the series. Next to it, Apocryphos, A Prudent Man at the Most Smiles Gently. And next to it, Brood Year, The Twins, which actually contains 3 locusts. The word twins does not really relate to the locusts in the piece, but to the Twin Towers, which you can see if you look closely, 2 buildings tumbling together. This one was part of the Brood Year series that was really inspired by, in part, by the events of September 11th. This piece, also somewhat altered by the light behind it coming through the window, is Brood Year Aged in the Earth. another one relating to the cycle of the periodical cicada. Here's a series of monoprints based on the same etched zinc plate. This is called Coda. Next to it, Trilogy. Next to it, Memory Lingers 1 and Memory Lingers 2, which are examples of a ghost print. This piece is Transcendence and Memory, a monotype produced on a plexiglass plate, as is Self-Portrait. Nightshade is also a monotype. The Seer and Triad. This piece, which is called She Called Again Today, has got very personal connotations. This was based on an incident in which I received an upsetting phone call and wrote out my thoughts and feelings about this and calls that had come before. And if you look closely, you can see, but perhaps not really read, the writings that are embedded in it. This was initially a canvas covered with acrylic and watercolor and polymer emulsion, and then I adhered to it sheets that are built of tissue paper embedded in polymer emulsion. So this was actually a starting point for the Carapace series that came along later, which is constructed entirely of polymer emulsion coated sheets of tissue. This is Apocryphos, swift to hear but slow to answer. And this is the smallest piece of the Brood Year series called Scions Within. Again, this is about the larval stage of the periodical cicada. This is Apocryphos, Eternal Fire. This piece, which is the inspiration for the rest of the show, is called Carapace Caretta, and it's based on the image of the sea turtle shell of the loggerhead sea turtle, specifically, and the scientific name is Caretta caretta. I built the sea turtle's shells scales out of polymer emulsion with tissue embedded, and that tissue has images and writings related to safety and security. Here you can see the underside of the shell, which is built of plaster, foam insulation, duct tape, and wood shims, and it's mounted on an easel that's covered with gauze bandage, the idea being that this is a healing process. Again, the whole sea turtle concept was inspired by the endangered loggerhead sea turtles that have been on this planet for 100 million years, but in just a few generations, we've reduced them to a situation in which they are on the threatened and endangered lists everywhere. This is Apocryphos, Return to the Sea. And the last piece in the show, Apocryphos, Wisdom is a Kindly Spirit.